Stop! Hi everyone, my name is Artur Kurasiński, and for over 10 years I have been observing and explaining how technology influences us, people, and society. I'm greeting you from the studio inside the Innovation Campus in Warsaw, Poland. The podcast series we are starting today is called the Early Adopters Nook, where we invite innovative startups to talk about their product and how it's changing the world. My today's guest is Marek Ostafil, co-founder of Cyberus Labs. Hi Marek.
Hello, Artur. Hello, everybody.
Hello, Marek. And here's my first question. What does Cyberus Labs do?
Well, Cyberus Labs is a provider of cybersecurity solutions.
Mm-hmm.
And the most important thing for us was to change a little bit approach towards cybersecurity. Because, of course, we are... we having experience with cybersecurity, or we should at least, in many different areas. And one of the most common element of cybersecurity that we meet almost every day, I guess, is password.
Passwords, all right.
So, and we all know that this is one of the biggest pains for users, because if you do it right, you should have a different password and a different username
For every service and a device.
Absolutely. So now the average for every human is like around 15 different, you should have 15 different combinations of usernames and passwords, because that's the average number of different services that you're logging in.
And what's the reality?
The reality.
Admin 1, 2, 3?
Exactly.
All right.
Or yes, exactly. Admin, or, well, we all know the problem.
Yeah.
So, and of course, passwords were invented in terms of accessing the computers in early 60s, when there was a research institute, a university.
And
there
trust.
was one computer, for taking hundreds of square feet of the space, a few researchers, and that was it, right? So it was fairly easy to remember. Now, of course, the situation is completely different. So, it is sad that the humans are the weakest link in cybersecurity, because but it's not really like this. And the former, I like very much the quote of the former head of Homeland Security, Mr. Michael Chertoff, who said the passwords are the weakest link in cybersecurity. Why? Because you just cannot force people to remember dozens of different combinations of passwords and usernames. So that's actually is the main reason of most of the problems that we're having in cybersecurity. And the entire industry has been built on a broken concept of using something that in theory it's possessed by you.
In theory, yes.
But in practice, of course, it's not the case. So what we decided to do in Cyberus Labs, instead of participating in this rat race, with hackers or cyber criminals, who will invent the better or more, let's say, bulletproof system, we just decided to eliminate the source of it.
Oh my God.
So we decided to eliminate passwords altogether.
Okay.
And introduce password-free multi-factor authentication system. And so the first product of our company, called Cyberus Key, it is such a system. And we did one more thing, because until now you've been basically put in a situation that you need to choose between easy to use or secure solutions, right? So the assumption is, well, if something is easy, it's not secure, or if it needs to be secure, it has to be damn difficult. Well, it's not true. And we also need to remember that many of the solutions that are very advanced, in principle, they're very simple. And that's their beauty, but also that's their strength.
That's a threat, yeah.
So we invented, that was mainly the invention of our CTO, Jack Volosevich, who used to work for National Space Agency in the US, for other companies, Cyberus Labs. So he's fairly advanced, and he knows how to do it exactly. Plus he gained experience in working with the research institutes, studied also cybersecurity, steganography, which is very interesting thing to study. I think that's the way to hide the message in the other message. So he invented the system that without passwords, without usernames, is able to do one very important thing. With just one click to authenticate both sides of the transaction or operation. So you're not only, say your internet provider or internet service provider, whether this is e-commerce, whatever, knows that this is you, but you also know that you're logging into authorized website. So with this system, we basically eliminate, I think, 80% of all cyber threats, because 80% of them are targeted or are connected with a username and passwords. Part of them to steal the passwords and usernames, and the other part to use them, right, in an appropriate way. So thanks to this very simple concept of eliminating passwords, for, let's say, traditional internet, like I said, for internet banking, e-commerce services, email, whatever you need to log into. And because it's so universal, we also made another step, and we decided to take care of, I think, one of the most important markets right now, which is Internet of Things, which suffers exactly from the same problem. Because, and this is even worse, because let's say you're a human user and you can change your password like every 30 days or whatever the requirements, although on the margin, it has been proven by National Institute for Standards and Technology that this regular change of passwords is actually not doing anything good.
Really?
Because let's picture yourself that every 30 days you need to come up with some different password.
Yes, supposed to be very strength.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So after a few months, you run out of ideas.
Yes.
And it turns out that people start to simplify those passwords. So instead of making them more difficult to guess, the effect is the opposite. So there is a recommendation to not to use the system anymore. But that was just that's just a side note. So, but because you're a human user, you are able to change the password whenever you want. Well, with the smart devices, it's a little bit different. Because, devices, they cannot change their own passwords. That's the first thing. Second, even if you have the human users that would need to do it or could do it, well, if you calculate the millions and soon to be billions of devices, how are you going to operate to change the password for all your smart devices every 30 days and come up with equally strong passwords each time? It's just impossible. So, and that's another proof that the passwords are the weakest link in the cybersecurity, not humans, because now that also concerns devices. And so thanks to investment of the European Commission, because we are alumni of SME Instrument Program, we had the chance to develop end-to-end cybersecurity system for intelligent, the smart networks in general, Internet of Things, regardless of their nature, regardless of the market. So wherever there are smart devices, we provide password-free authentication between human and devices, or IoT hubs, such as, for example, could be the voice assistants that we know. There exist in many different versions. But also we did exactly the same thing to protect device-to-device authentication, and we added to it our own encryption system, which was also specially designed for smart devices, because another studies says that over 80% of all the traffic between smart devices is not protected. It's not encrypted. And this is also valid for satellites. So if you think, and basically Internet of Things is based on information, on data, because that's the clue. Exactly. That's the biggest value. Is gathering information, processing, and making informed decision based on that. So if you think that 80% of this is not protected, so that means it can be manipulated. So then we are facing real threat of that you will be taking decisions on the data that can easily be manipulated, and that's really scary. So basically, that's what we came up right now. Was mid 2020 that we have finished development of our system. Right now we are entering in the market in Europe, in the US. We have contacts in Japan, in Asia, with this solution. So what we do, we eliminate password. We provide password-free authentication for users and devices.
Wow, awesome. On your website, it says, a quote, "Now you can guarantee your customers the highest level of protection against phishing attacks, identity and data theft and more. By removing the risk of stolen passwords and credentials, you can eliminate one of the biggest cybersecurity threats." That's what you just explained to me. And wow, so you guys actually solved one of the biggest problem right now on the market, because like you said, there's a gazillions of new devices connected to each other, and even more people are using it. So changing the passwords is impossible. You have to come up with the different passwords every 30 days, which is of course very difficult for humans, and even more difficult for dumb devices.
Yes.
So what are the challenges facing cybersecurity today? What are the areas what areas are the most vulnerable to attacks?
Well, of course, unfortunately, there are no safer areas in our digital lives, let's say, or our digital reality. Of course, there are statistics that some of the branches, some of the markets or areas of the market have been attacked more often,
like banking systems.
Like banking systems, but it's not anymore about the money itself. Of course there are attacks, but this is all about data. So right now, and especially with Internet of Things, the services that are dealing with more data, they are more attractive. Of course, that's one thing. Of course, there is this very famous rule, say by hackers. I mean, what the attractive target is the one that you can get easily, right? So they, of course, they calculate what is the investment versus the reward, right?
Okay.
So, and that's very, very practical and business oriented. So, but unfortunately, we cannot say that, we're dealing with e-commerce or with something else, we are fairly safe. No, unfortunately not. So I think the biggest problem is that we didn't do our homework from, let's say, traditional internet, which is adapting password-based authentication in Internet of Things. But we also didn't do our homework in building enough awareness for cybersecurity. For the need of cybersecurity. And I think the biggest problem is that many people say, well, it doesn't concern me. It's a problem on some, big companies somewhere in the most developed countries because they have money, so hackers probably will be hacking them. I'm just regular citizen, who could care? Well, they do care, and hackers, they're aiming, like I said, on data. They're aiming at getting personal information on users' profile, because you might end up one day with the special forces knocking to your door because somebody has stolen your identity and is buying weapons or selling drugs in your name, and you know nothing about it. So that's a threat for every one of us,
even
right?
for every Joe. It is very very scary perspective, because, like you said, first thing is that you can be robbed by someone, and his or her intention you are not aware of. There is like selling data, this the one thing, selling credit card number, but selling information about what you using on your computer, what kind of software, using this software to manipulate others, the famous the bot servers attacking other institutions and servers, etc. So actually, yeah, I think you are completely right saying that we have a problem with the awareness and actually with the education, because many young people, we all do deal with the very sophisticated technology on our every day, and this is something that I really see as a problem, because you're using your phone, and after you're touching your phone like hundreds of times every day, and of course you don't want to, every time you touch, you don't want to provide very sophisticated security number of whatever that this device is asking you for. But when you are not doing this, you are potential maximizing the percentage of that something or someone will attack you, and you don't even understand and know that you are really just in the possession of hacker of whatever. So this is the problem. We want to use the devices, and they are made to use for us. But the problem is that when you want to be 100 or 99% safe or secure, you need to have proper level of this knowledge and especially services. So yeah, that's the main problem. Like you said, we tend to use very weak / very easy kind of passwords, but because we wanted to provide it very, very fast. Two days ago, I have to change my PayPal password, and I was very, very fighting with myself, because I know this is one of the most crucial things, paying systems. This is like my money, actually, and literally my money sitting in the system. But coming with the 10, 15, long symbols long password, it is absurd. I tried yesterday. I was walking outside with my daughter, and I have to take just say, hey, send me money from my server if I PayPal to this eShop, and I have to type this number, and my fingers froze, and I cannot operate on my cell phone because my hands were frozen. That's the problem. We are just humans, and it's impossible to come up with the 20, the very, very long kind of authentication numbers, and use it every day, especially when you're logging to Facebook, to your Gmail, using your Messenger and 10 or 15 other services. That's the problem. So,
but one thing that I can also add to it, what the bad news is?
Come on, hit me.
The bad news is there are basically no strong or weak passwords.
Oh, come on. This is
all right. Because you know what? Because unfortunately, how it works, the passwords, you don't divide between weak and strong. You can divide passwords into two categories, but are very different. The ones that has been stolen and those that will be stolen.
Okay.
Because basically, if hackers, they steal password, and they really steal it, it doesn't really matter how complicated it is. Just copy paste, and you have they have just like stream of characters,
yes,
and they really don't care how difficult it is or easy. The easy password, there are threat because they are easy to guess, and it's of course, but if you're stealing the database with passwords, nobody cares if they're so of course it is improving a little bit your chances of not being hacked if you're using the let's say more complicated, but it's not a guarantee. So this is just a side note, but unfortunately we need to remember.
All right, so all you folks listening to us right now, there's like no hope. Do not change your passwords. Set admin or your name with your birth date. That's it. Everyone will be happy. You don't have to spend extra time typing in your computer or your smartphone.
No, but seriously, of course, we have to put whatever solutions we can, to improve our security, and that's our duty. And what we have to do it for ourselves, but also for the others. And but the good news, there are solutions. There is a light in this tunnel, and also you can see very recently movement by many companies that they finally understood that the passwords are no longer a solution. So right now, there are companies that are providing this or trying to introduce this password-free or login or user authentication. So this is starting to be a trend in the market, which is of course very good. And I'm also happy to say that we are part of this trend, which is
You're
good.
creating the wave.
We are yes, exactly. Now the one I think last thing that we need to add about our attitude towards cybersecurity, that too often we treat cybersecurity as a cost. And very often, especially in a company budget, it's the last thing on the list, because you need to do this, you need to pay people, you need to buy things, you have all the operating costs, and then those poor IT guys that are begging the board guys, we need to think on cybersecurity. They are pushed on the side. Well, maybe later, and because businesses, they hope, maybe it's going to be fine, maybe I'm not going to get attacked and all that stuff. In the European Union, we have a little bit different situation because of the law, and there are fines also for those that will not protect the data or sensitive data of their users. They will be fined, and already cases like this are present. But I think the one thing we should do, we should start thinking on the cybersecurity as an investment, because if you will be hacked, and your database with the sensitive data of your customers or your employees will be leaked, you can pack your things up and you're done in business. So treat it as an investment, to be able to run your company for longer, not to close it down because of some cyber attack.
That's a good one. So what are the challenges facing cybersecurity today? What areas are most vulnerable to attacks?
Well, all the areas that are dealing with data, with the personal data, I would say that's the first one, which makes the first place for Internet of Things, because this is mainly dealing with data, sometimes with very sensitive, including recording, all the, let's say, even the simple services to watch over your baby, remotely. It's recording.
Nannies. Yeah.
So it's recording, your private life, the most private things, and gives the cyber criminals information about your habits, the hours, where the home is used or is empty because everybody is at work. So it's like many things, and then I would say it's healthcare. Because it's another gold mine in terms of the personal data, very sensitive data, about the information about your health, the state of it, any diseases, that can be also used for blackmailing people, and on the third I would put financial services, because like I said, it's not anymore only about the money. They're making money in a different ways. It's not just taking some dollars from your account. It's it's not so important anymore.
All right. Let's talk about the cybersecurity itself for a moment. How big it is? How big is this industry, and how does Cyberus Labs find itself in it?
Okay.
You guys are very big company, small, you are a startup. How do you say it?
It's how to say it? To define Cyberus Labs, it's on one side we are like 5 years on the market, so I don't know if we can say that we are a startup anymore. Although how we operate and how we are flexible, well, we are agile as a startup. So I think that's one of our strongest points, that we have a very agile and dynamic team. Very open-minded, and so we are able to very quickly react to what's on the market, very easily work with the clients. So that's the startup-like attitude we have, also because part of our team is coming from California. We have people in New York that has been in the startup world or investment world for many years. So that's we are operating as a startup. Now, how we find ourselves in the market? Of course, we are right now trying to change the attitude towards cybersecurity with completely different approach. So very often I'm being asked, okay, who is your main competitor? I said, well, password system. Not a particular company, but the entire system and entire way of thinking, about security. So that's how we position ourselves. How big is the market? Well, I put it this way: the data and the research about the market, the growth, it's one thing, and and there are people that specialize in saying how much it's worth and what is the yearly growth and stuff. I see it from a more practical perspective, and I see that really cybersecurity market looks very good on paper, and cybersecurity itself is something really important when people are talking publicly. And it's one of the absolutely top priorities for everybody. But then, when the lights are out and the doors are closed, the reality comes. It's like, maybe next time, maybe we can. Well, let's buy first some marketing tools, and make some money, and hope that something that we won't be hacked, and we will think on cybersecurity later. That's very often, unfortunately, too often. That's the reality. So cybersecurity market has a great potential for one reason only. And coming back to Internet of Things, if we don't protect the Internet of Things very soon, and one of the challenges basically also right now is that we have created, we as a humanity, not Cyberus Labs, we have created IoT market, and we have blown it into something incredibly big, not really thinking how to protect it. Now we have two challenges. One is implementing, it's like kind of retrofitting of cybersecurity to all those devices that has been already deployed. And now we have a problem, okay, so how do we protect it now, right? And the second, create the environment and create the situation in which the cybersecurity will be much more, I'm not saying the mandatory, although I think it should be at this stage, but will be much more integrated or considered in the new devices that are being deployed on the market. Of course, there are several legislative initiatives in the UK, in US, in Europe, in other countries, but before they will be enforced, it's still going to be a couple of years. So again, it's our responsibility to really pay attention, what are those devices that we're buying that we want to use, are they really protected, or how can they be protected? We need to, it's like, you said very important thing before, like, well, it's difficult for us to protect our systems, our devices. But, well, we still let's say, we put some effort to close the door, right? To lock
Still,
them,
yes.
right? So there is this minimum of common sense that we have. Well, we live in a relatively safe world, right? In many parts of it, and we trust people. But we're still closing the door. We're still closing our cars. We still protect our physical life.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we don't have this attitude toward our digital life, and that's one of the problems. And I think cybersecurity market can be much bigger than it is, and it should be much bigger, because basically our future depends on it. And let me tell you, the fantastic projections about how IoT is going to develop. They're not going to happen if we don't pay enough attention to cybersecurity. Because right now we start seeing people being afraid of using smart devices because they started already thinking, what if this device is doing something else except this that it's supposed to do? What is, is recording or is giving other people the ability to record whatever I'm doing, I'm saying,
Very sensitive information. All right, so yeah, you're absolutely right. I think this is the very harsh reality when you sit down and start thinking about how many potentials, entries, ways of getting into your system, into your life, sending your information, very sometimes very intimate very information, sometimes very crucial for your career, for your business. And that's the problem that we tend to not think about this of consequences and potential output of this threat. But yeah, if we produce and we are still producing, creating more and more devices connected to each other, IoT, but also the simple servers, the computers, the smartphones. Someone has to have the I don't know how to say, maybe not, this is not the agenda for the governments, but maybe it should be like one body or implementing the law from higher level, the law that is actually mostly focused on the IoT or slash everything connected to the internet and kind of industry, because otherwise we have, which is of course very, very silly, every country has its own policies, and you can of course see questioning, the privacy in California, United States, but at the same time you have very different kind of approach in Poland or generally in Europe. So every country tends to have, because it's political issue of course, but a part of this, we also have this problem with our normal life. We try to use the technology and we don't understand the technology. This is the problem, in my opinion. We lost the sense of using technology in terms of that this is something magical happening, right? Like connecting servers to servers. We just do not think about these bits and bytes and atoms and everything that just coming from one computer to another. We are just using like electricity, like water, like the sun. This is something normal for us, but it still is. It has lots of things inside in terms of cybersecurity threats, the problem with the privacy. So yeah, we have to talk about it, and I'm very happy to have you today and that we have this conversation, because this is the moment in our history as a civilization, as a humans, that we have to, in my opinion, my humble opinion, we have to sit down and think what kind of future do we want. This is like the future with the very chaotic one, or maybe very centralized, ruled by one government, like Uber government that has power to say you just don't have 3 digits password. You have to have like 15 at least, and you cannot leave the house without putting another password after in the next 2 days. So, but this moment will come. even mention the most sophisticated computers, and I'm not talking about this possibility of creating a god out of the computer. But I'm talking still, about very dumb devices like laptops, like smartphones. That's something that we, as a people, as a humans, and as a civilization, we have to think right now, and this is something very important for us. All right. So, at what stage of development is the company, is the Cyberus Labs, currently, and what is planned in the next 12 months?
So right now we are entering into different global markets. Like I said, we started in Poland, in Silesia region, thanks to this European program of which we were taking a part, which is part of Horizon 2020 research and development program. And the cooperation that we have with the European Commission, we could really very fast expand and very strongly expand, not only in terms of technology development, which has been co-founded by European Commission, but also that, of course, they gave us a lot of contacts, publicity, plus, not to mention that winning this financing is restricted to very limited number of European companies, because the success rate in this program is less than 5%.
Oh my God!
So we can really think that we are one of the
winners.
Let's say winners, yeah, and let's say this group of I think very particular or special European companies, and this is of course very important for us, because that adds the credibility, and I think that for every startup, building the credibility is one of the most challenging things, because if you're a startup, you're considered from the start as something that is not really stable. Who knows what will happen in 12 months with this team and with this company. So, let's watch, how they will develop. If they will survive, then we can do some business. And so that, and also, or even more, if you are in cybersecurity. So you're a startup and you're providing some revolutionary cybersecurity solutions. So everybody's looking at you like, really? You think so? Okay, yeah. So that was for us very important, but it's also very helpful. And we are also right now part of the program Microsoft for Startups, which is another very big step for us in terms of recognition. I have to say that the cooperation with this is a very particular type of cooperation, being a startup working with giant, and I have to say that's a great example of how startups can be understood by large corporation, and how it can be helped, and together actually we deployed one of our the initial cybersecurity system, Cyberus Key. It's in a downloadable version on the marketplace.
So I can download it and use it?
Well, yes, as a company, because it's a B2B solution. Yes, right now it's already there.
Oh.
So that for this year, let's say, first in terms of maybe international relation, we just opened our place in Paris. So we're entering the French market. We have dedicated solution for the French to fight the pandemic. We created also system to without passwords to authenticate those that has been tested, those that will be vaccinated, so they can enter let's say safe areas as well. Like I said, we are already in the US present, and so this year we count on development in those areas, more clients globally, but also we're going to do another step forward with Microsoft and put on a marketplace our encryption, which I think will be the first downloadable encryption system for Internet of Things ever, because you normally don't sell encryption as a service. But that's actually what we are working on right now, and we hope to finish it very soon. Also to provide cybersecurity that will be easy to integrate with the system. So then everybody that has its own, even at home, your own smart system that can be, of course, you can manage this system, that you will be able to use our solution. So we have two lines, let's say, of development this year: technology path and the business development on a global scale.
All right, that was my first. Last question. Sorry. No, actually, I have one more. Because you said about the pandemic, how the COVID-19 affected your business in a better or maybe good way?
Well, I put it this way. Fortunately, because how Cyberus Labs works, and we have people from in terms of team and engineers from New Zealand to California, which is basically all around the world. And we do most of our things remotely. Us as a company, as a working structure, it didn't affect us at all.
Okay.
Because we have been working remotely since the very beginning. So all the electronic communications, Zooms, that's our daily bread, as they say. So there was no problem. Now, of course, as we were just finishing the Horizon 2020 program, and we had a lined up series of international events where we were supposed to show our Elliot Pro, the cybersecurity IoT system, to entire world. Everything has been canceled, as we know, because everything was lined up from February until May. Well, all gone.
Yes,
of course. So that was big hit. And of course, especially the first 4 months of the pandemic, where all the markets, just stopped completely. So working with the client, they didn't know what's going to happen next. So we can say that in terms of development and implementation, well, that caused like at least 6-7 months delay, of the lined up integrations, implementation with clients. And of course, it's not like, okay, well, we are back to business as usual. Unfortunately, we are not. But of course, we're pushing. I mean, we don't have other choice as well. But also, the pandemic hopefully started also to be something like an eye opener for many people. Because they know that digital services and the remote access, it's needed.
Yes.
The passwords is hell. So they even they have even more proofs on for that. And on top of it, the number of cyber threats, cyber attacks actually has grown. So that is also it has shown people that we need to do something, as you said, to be responsible for our own safety. Because, governments or the European Union and the US and other governments, they're of course working on some agendas to improve the cybersecurity. But it's not going to work if we, as a simple citizens, we don't pay attention to it. So of course, it is a very difficult time for us as a company. But on the other thing, maybe that makes us think a little bit on ourselves, that we know that we are very fragile, as a humans. That at some point comes something like pandemic
Yes.
and throws everything, you
Yes.
know, and destroys our well-being, you know, and or our very nice and comfortable lives, right? So maybe that makes us think on values and on things that we need to, on how we need to operate. So maybe I hope that will be some good in all this terrible situation, that we will reflect on reality, on our role as well, on the role of digital world, but also of security of this digital world. So, well, we're looking with a lot of hope to the future, and we have plans, because we have to fight through, of course, and that's. Without the hope, you wouldn't be able to do anything. But we also know it's going to be tough, also in the 2021. So, well, when we know it's tough, you just need to, you know, adapt yourself to those conditions and just keep fighting.
Keep going. All right, that was very optimistic. Thank you, Marek. Yeah, thank you. My today's guest was Marek Ostafil, co-founder of Cyberus Labs. Once again, my name is Artur Kurasiński, and this is a podcast about the early adopters, technology, and change. Like, share, leave, comment below. This will help us to get to broader audience. Thank you very much. Thank you, Marek.
Thank you, Artur.
And see you next time.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Boom. Wow. Stop. What?